Last week, the Cabinet, led by the Home Secretary no less, were virtually queuing up to tell us they'd experimented with cannabis in their youth. Today's report will make chilling reading for them. It suggests people who smoke just one joint a day are twice as likely to develop severe mental illness.
The report found the most frequent users of the drug are more likely to develop psychotic symptoms, such as hallucinations and delusions.
But some drug experts today question the research because they say there is no conclusive evidence to suggest that the drug causes schizophrenia.
So the debate over its dangers remains confusing.
The findings published in today's Lancet offer a stark warning that smoking cannabis can more than double the chances of suffering psychotic diseases.
It's something that people need to be aware of if they are thinking about using cannabis, or if they already use it, and particularly I think if they're using on a regular basis. Our findings suggest that people who use regularly have somewhere between a 2- and 3-fold increase in risk, and that includes of serious psychotic illnesses such as schizophrenia.
The study is the most comprehensive analysis of evidence linking cannabis use and psychosis. It doesn't say cannabis causes it, it doesn't say cannabis causes it, it doesn't say cannabis causes it, but there is an association, and the more you smoke, the greater the risk. Even smoking just one joint can significantly increase that risk, the report claims.
This study actually calculates the proportion of people with psychotic illness who would not have developed the illness had they not taken cannabis. So this is 14% of all the people coming to our hospitals with psychosis would not have developed it if they didn't take cannabis. That's 800 new people developing schizophrenia, similar illnesses, each year.
Pro-cannabis campaigners, though, say they don't believe there's a causal link.
If you look at the broader picture, there is a very small number of people that are vulnerable. That's usually as a result of mental health histories in their family. These people shouldn't be using any kind of intoxicant. But you don't use the penal approach, the law, to try and solve what is essentially a health problem.
The Prime Minister is considering whether cannabis should be returned to a Class B drug. This latest study could have a major impact on the government's current deliberations. Piers Hopkirk, ITV News.
And listening to Piers' report there with me is Dr. Trevor Turner, who's a consultant psychiatrist from the Homerton University Hospital in London. And you have some doubts about this report.
Well, I certainly do. I've worked as a consultant psychiatrist in the East End for 30 years, and I've never seen a cannabis-induced case of schizophrenia. Clearly, if people smoke a lot of pot, they're going to make their symptoms worse, but it's never been a causative factor in my experience.
But when you look at cases like the ones that Piers just reported upon, tragic and brutal attacks and killings, all of the analysis, all of the evidence made a direct connection. Surely this Lancet piece is simply confirming that.
There's lots of associations. There have been associations since the British survey in the 1890s of hashish, cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want, with people behaving abnormally. But it's the usage rather than the causation that matters. Most assaults in this country are alcohol-inflamed, and possibly drugs like amphetamine sulfate speed, but compared to those, cannabis has a minor role in assaultive behaviours.
In layman's language, just expand on that distinction that you're making there between causative and contributory.
Many people with schizophrenia have high internal anxiety. They smoke nicotine heavily, they take drugs in order to self-medicate themselves.
They are ill already.
They're ill already, and cannabis has a very calming factor, as we know. As a result, you can see that they're bound to use more of it, both before they get ill and after they get obviously. And in a sense, it brings it out into the open much more, as has been pointed out.
So in a sense, then, are we running the risk here of misinterpreting the report, and indeed all of the newspapers who wrote about it as well, saying, look, there is a danger if you have that set of symptoms, that set of problems, with using cannabis, rather than saying, it's wrong, full stop.
That's a much better way of putting it. If you're ill already, this can make things worse, just as if you drink too much. Remember, there's no increased incidence of schizophrenia in this country in the last 30 years, despite massive increases in use of cannabis, and countries where cannabis is regularly smoked show no increase in the rates of schizophrenia.
I suggested at the very beginning of this, Dr. Turner, that this could be the ammunition that the government are looking for. What do you think the government should do in terms of classifying it as C or B?
I think they should make it as low a classification as possible. Making it criminal does not help in any way the people using it, the people suffering from it, or people with schizophrenia.
But educate our young people.
Absolutely.
Trevor Turner, good to see you. Thank you for coming in this afternoon.